Okay, today is May 5th, 2014. Got a 1932 Plymouth PB coupe for sale. I'm going to do a quick walk around on this thing, show you what I did. Okay, so here's the front end of the car. This is an all-steel original body on this car. It's not chopped. It's a stock roof line for a 32 Plymouth. The only thing not original on this car is the fiberglass smooth running boards. I have the stock running boards, but they were pretty rough and I wanted the smooth look anyway. It's got 14-inch wheels in the front, 15s in the back. Probably should have went a little bit bigger, but I got a deal on them and it is what it is. They look pretty cool. Underside of the car is completely detailed. Chassis has been boxed front and back where the suspension mounts. The underside of the body has been textured and painted, a little rock chip prevention. Tires are brand new. This car's got about 900 miles on it since I built it. And cruise around on the weekends here or there is about all. The 32 Plymouth has these two kind of funky but still cool vents on the roof, on the hood. A little different than Ford. What I like about it, the Plymouth hood goes all the way up to the window line, where the Ford has the exposed cowl. Gives this thing a longer hood look, little gangster look to it. It's different. Everywhere I go, people ask, what is it? The radiator shell is stock, but I molded off. There should be like a little winged lady up on top of there. I molded that off. I wanted the smooth look. The lower valance I had to make from scratch by hand. The original one was hammered, not savable. So I made that thing all by hand. Hammer and dolly, rolled it over English wheel. What I did though, I made it a little bit lower, and I don't know if you could see it or not, it's really low. So you got to be really careful of curbs because it's already got a little chip. But probably should have made two when I did it, but I didn't. Those are not turn signals down there, those are little reflectors. The turn signals are actually in the headlamp. If you look down the side of this thing, I don't know if you can see it on this, the body turned out really super nice. I painted this car. I'm not a painter by trade, I hate it, but I do my own stuff. But I don't know if you can see, it turned out really good down the side. It's kind of dirty right now, but still you can see, you don't see any waves in it. Body lines are really good. Door gaps are good. Sorry for the shaky hands. Yeah, going to the back. Still everything is nice and straight, looks really good. Stock fenders. All these fenders needed a lot of work. They were a little beat up after 80 years and I could not find replacements for this thing. In the back, I made a rolled pan. Cleaned up the back end, bobbed the back of the frame, removed the fuel tank from hanging out the back in the original location. The deck lid is motorized. It's on a toggle switch inside, or a rocker switch rather. It's got LED taillights sunk into the back. This car should probably be going for in the mid to high 30s range, but it's got a couple little issues that I want to be straightforward with everybody. I don't want any disillusioned bidders on this car. Alright, there was very little rust on this car to begin with, but one of the areas that it did have a little rust was on this back little apron. There was a little bit of rust coming through, and when I molded this rolled pan onto it, I apparently missed a couple spots, but got a tiny little bubble here and here. You can't see it on the video, but they're there. Again, I don't want anything hidden. I want to be straightforward on this car. Let's see, what else I got? I got a little paint chip over here on the fender. Actually 2. Where I was putting the car together and dropped a screwdriver. And it is what it is. Interior on the car looks pretty good. It's not a high-end interior, but it's functional. Looks really cool. It's got a Mazda pickup seat that got narrowed down 5 inches. Got a little console in the middle that's got your power window switches. Chrome column, fire extinguisher. Here's the fuse block. The wiring on this car was done very meticulously. Everything is soldered and heat shrink. I do not like wiring issues. Does not have AC, but it's got an early vintage air evaporator in it. If you wanted to convert it to AC, it wouldn't be too hard. When I built the car, I wanted simple. The only thing hung on the motor is a alternator. I didn't want to see a power steering pump. I didn't want to see an AC pump. I wanted plain, simple, basic hot rod. I think hot rods should be felt and heard. So that's the music I want to hear, is the hot rod noise, the rumble. Now, the guy that did the interior kind of screwed me over. When they put the headliner in, you can't see it from the video, but there is a couple tiny little dimples in the roof where they ran screws that were a couple thousandths too long up into the roof and put these tiny little dimples in there. I spent a long time on this roof trying to make it nice and straight, and there's a long story there and there's a lawsuit involved, but short version is it's got dimples in the roof and not a damn thing I can do about it. You wouldn't know it if I didn't tell you, but they're there. Suicide doors are all stock. Door handles are shaved. They work on a remote. Should have showed you that with the doors open. There is wireless switches in the door jamb. Got the little pin switches right there that make contact. They work really good. They're clean. There is a mechanical safety release cable tucked in the fender well, so if you happen to close the door with your keys in it, like I did at the gas station, you have a way to get into the car without breaking the glass. Alright, this thing is stone cold right now. I'll show you how it starts up once I find the key. Oops, sorry, shaky hands. Alright, the interior, actually when I bought this car, the dash panel and all the trim that goes around the windows and around the back window had been redone in like a faux wood finish. That's a little better shot. Back in the 70s. So when I bought the car, all this was freshly redone, wrapped in newspaper, and it turned out really cool. Alright, so electric fuel pump, prime it, hit the throttle a couple times. And it lights right up every time. It's got a mild little cam to it. Not a whole lot of rumble, but it's got to sound like a hot rod. Chrome column, tilt wheel, rosewood steering wheel. Looks cool. Horn works. There you go. All the lights, turn signals work. It's just a basic, clean, simple, turnkey, get it and drive hot rod. I wanted something that my wife, my kid, anybody could get in and drive and not have too much issue with it. Under the hood, we have nicely detailed small block Chevy. And I've caught a fair amount of grief for putting a Chevy in a Mopar, but I'm sorry, it is what it is. This is what I had. And I know my Chevrolet engines. I've had a lot of them. It is 350 bored 30 over. It's got a mild cam. It's got aluminum intake, new Edelbrock carb. It's got your billet brackets on the front, single wire alternator, hooker headers. There's exhaust wrap all the way back on this thing, trying to keep the heat down inside. I don't know how much you can see in here without the light. It does not have power steering. I didn't want the pump hung on the motor, and honestly you don't need it. When you're turning in the parking lot it takes a little bit of effort, but as soon as the thing's rolling it steers fine. It handles like a race car. It's got a hide its Super Ride front suspension under it. It's fully adjustable. It has a sway bar. The thing handles awesome, really does. It's got Wilwood brakes in the front. The only thing I would do to this thing is put a fan shroud on it. I didn't build a fan shroud at the time. Should have, but I didn't. It doesn't like idling in 100-degree heat. Once it rolls down the road, get a little ram air, it's fine. It does not like idling at a stoplight at 100 degrees. Minor fix, but that's just a recommendation. Let's see if I can get up in here. HEI distributor, 700R transmission. It's got your braided cable, flex pipe. Oh, really clean, no leaks, no issues. There's another shot of the inside of the car showing the dash. The dash is just cool. It's got VDO gauges, everything works. Speedo is calibrated correctly. Let's see, you've got, for the blower speed, this is your headlight. This knob you crank to turn on and off the water valve for the heater. It does have a heater and it does work. These are the stock knobs for the hood vents. Does work. Up top, I made a little console because when I put the electric wiper motor in, it stuck out about ½ inch, so I had to make this out about ½ inch. But when I did, I put switches for, I've got, this is the trunk, power operated trunk. I've got red accent lights on the outside under the running boards that shine on the ground. There is red interior lights, and then the electric wiper motor. So that's my 32 PB Plymouth. It is on eBay right now. I'm not going to give this car away. I know what they're going for. I know what it's worth. I wouldn't be selling it if I didn't have to pay for tuition for my daughter. Can always build another car. I only got one kid, so that's the only reason I'm getting rid of her. I'm not going to let this car go for any less than about 28 grand. Other than that, I'll just keep it. It's not hurting a thing sitting here. You can reach me on my cell at 209-649-7406. There is an ad on eBay right now. I've got a couple more days left on it. Any questions? Give me a holler. I have no problem answering any questions on this car. Thanks a lot.